never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations, oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong.
So what's going on in the studio today then? I'm going to do some art journaling and also rearrange my studio for optimum organisation. The new art trolley is a Facebook marketplace find and is going to be so useful. There's always time for studio snacks, a little body movement also helps, and I'm trying to be really healthy at the moment, so I've brought in lots of fruit and yoghurt, maca and cacao mix. Once you feel safe to express yourself in a really truthful and authentic way, that's when the magic happens. That's when we can let go and process properly. Hello, hopefully sounds well. Grab a drink, oh yes, and then just come and join you for a minute because I just put a post up on Facebook and I will put it up on Insta as well about, sometimes Monday or any day indeed can feel like we're climbing a mountain or we are about to. And I kind of felt like that this morning. You can see I can't talk that well yet. I am having a second drink this morning, decaf coffee, so cheers to you if you are having a cosy drink with me, and thanks for keeping me company as well. So the plan for today, the first thing was to show up, which I've done. I almost got stuck at home in that overwhelm bubble, if you like, but then I realised, you know what, in my have-tos list there isn't actually any scary stuff anyway. So any stuff that I've been long-term procrastinating or is, its own mountain, just that one thing. So I thought, just show up, make a move, see how it goes. So I'm just playing things by ear really at the moment, which is working very well for me. And I know I have the benefit that I, basically work for myself. So I'm the boss and I get to choose. But sometimes I'm not a very good boss to myself. Yeah, I need to work on that. And normally I would choose my creativity first, but in this case, I know I want to do some organising in here, and I want to do a little shuffle around and rejig of my zones and spaces. And I basically, along here, which is the windows of my studio, so I've got 2 windows, I'd like to have a table running all the way, or most of the way along, because I still want to have my day bed here. So hang on a sec, can I show you? So yeah, still want to have my day bed here, and I still want to have my tables thingy. So basically just along here, all the way along, I want to have, put you back, a really nice situation with a really long desk. And then I think at this end of this table, and I might get a different tabletop for this because this is the table I'm sort of moving, I'm sort of swapping things over, so I might get a different tabletop that's a bit longer eventually, but for now I'm going to make do with what I have. I'm not going to spend anything. The only thing I'm spending is to actually put in an internet network in here, because the internet in this building is so slow. So James has got a fix. Thank heavens for James again, to the rescue with the tech stuff and a lot of other stuff as well. And yeah, he's gonna sort it all out. So I'll explain all that, if it's interesting, and if not, probably won't. Yes. So I feel like I need to just kind of, clear everything that's off the windowsill and give it a bit of a sweep before I move the table. Yes, that's what I'm thinking. The easiest way to probably do this is to just do like a section. So I'm just going to take a section, I'll sweep it and then put it back, neaten it up maybe. But yeah, I kind of like this because it's a little bit of privacy as well as obviously housing plant babies, that I need to prune this one a little bit. Yeah, quite a lot actually. So a little bit of plant care and then I'll come back. Yes. So one of the things I really like about moving the furniture around is that you get to sweep in all the nooks and crannies and get rid of all the dusty corners. I haven't put everything back as it's going to be yet because I think I'm going to have to come back in tomorrow and do some more. I just want to move this shelf over here and put it back. And then the white shelf, I'd like to sort of stand on the table and have some of the bits and bobs out of the way. So I'm feeling like a simplifying process is going on here, which is very therapeutic, I have to say. I'm going to have a break now and have my breakfast, lunch, brunch thing. Yes. In my new spot. Yes. So good morning. How are you today? I've just kind of woken up and I didn't sleep very well last night. But anyway, c'est la vie. And James has gone in. He's gone to connect my internet cable into my room. Sorry if I'm wobbling you about a bit. And I've done the pots, made a coffee, done the bins, put the bins out because it's bin day today. And of course, fed the little bird babies in the garden because they're very hungry all the time. Yes. It's actually my 13th year anniversary today of what I called freeing my soul, which was basically leaving my full-time teaching career. And seeing as I taught for, I believe it was 13 years, that's incredible to think about that. Wow, it does. Sometimes you look back on things, don't you? And it just feels like a completely different life and you were a completely different person. So, yeah. And it might sound a bit dramatic that I called it freeing my soul, but it literally was that. It literally was that. And what I went into, or what I thought I went into, wasn't exactly what it turned out to be. And although I tried and tried, I wore myself out trying, I completely burnt out. It was in the end about targets, ticking boxes and jumping through various hoops. And that's not to say the job wasn't truly rewarding. And, you know, I can remember the children and I miss them. I also worked with some amazing colleagues and classroom support assistants, which were out of this world. So good. I would not have kept going as long without them. And also parents. There are always positives and negatives. We know this, don't we? But so it definitely wasn't all negative. But for me, that was it. I'd had it. And I handed my notice in early, but worked right to the end of the school year, if that makes sense. And so I saw that class, that the set of children that I had at the beginning of that school year, I saw them through. And then I left just before the summer holiday. So Wendy's doing a little bit of reminiscing, basically. So now I'm just going to wake up and come round slowly, I think, this morning. Yes. So, let's get the laptop. The room is still a little bit of a pickle, but got the morning sun rays coming through, which is lovely. And let me just sort myself out and then I'll, talk to you. So I did quite well the other day with shifting the big things. So I've still got some of the little things to sort out, which, is fine. I did as much as I could. And I was kind of more than tired. I was more decisioned out, where does stuff go? So, Anyway, I took a break, but I'm back in today to do it. And I've got, basically, the floor's pretty clear, so I'm quite happy. I'll show you in a minute the bookshelf as well, which is behind me. So I don't know if you can just see that. But I've kind of put all the books out the way. And then the little white shelf that's just sat there, I want to put up here on top of the white table. So that will clear, hopefully, some of the real estate space from the table, if you know what I mean. Because this is very precious space, isn't it? Especially if you work like me. So just to explain then, if you've been here a while, you might already know this, but I like to have my stuff out so I can see it as much as possible. And I've got a couple of new solutions for that, which I'll show you in a minute, sort of storage solutions, which are quite handy. Pegboard, another trolley with little hooky pots. They're really snazzy, actually, those. And James found them on Facebook Marketplace because he is a genius on Facebook Marketplace. And then also this idea of putting the shelf at the back of this table. So yeah, going to do all that. And also we've got Dusty the Fairy. So these are my art journaling pages. And she is basically teaching me to sweep out the dusty corners. And this was some journaling I did the other day. I put an art journaling prompt basically up every month in the Patreon community, and I do the prompt as well with everybody else. And the things that came out for me was, you know, I needed to sweep out some of the dust, some of the dusty corners. And in order to do that, you've got to, you know, take everything out and address, you know, the spiders that came out and cobwebs and all that dusty stuff. So obviously I've done a lot of sweeping on the floor as well and just swept where the furniture was. So if you move the furniture around as well, you can, you know, get to the dusty bits if you like. So that's what I've done. I haven't just surface tidied. I'm doing much more of a detail clean. And I do tend to do this usually in the autumn, but to be honest, it was so bad that I couldn't wait that long. No. So anyway, I did some journaling around, you know, the things I needed to address. And it didn't have to be, you know, the whole studio all at once, but I just wanted to address maybe putting the furniture in the right place. And you might notice as well, if you've watched a few of my other videos, that, you know, I do tend to change my room around quite a lot, especially this kind of nook bit. This nook here, the kind of L-shaped, oh, somebody's beeping out there, sorry. Yeah, this kind of L shape here that we've got going on, it's really cozy and cute and lovely, and I really like it. And it's obviously extra space, which, you know, you can't go wrong with. But it's also finding the right way to utilise the space properly. And this is my third or fourth layout for this nook, if you like. So, and I feel good here. I feel like it's going to work. And just this idea of having one long tabletop. So whether I change and get a bigger one here or what, I'll let that evolve naturally, if you like. But I just wanted the big stuff in situ. And then I want to get to maybe, I don't know, maybe next week, I want to get to some really serious decluttering, because I've got stuff in here left over from van life that I don't need anymore. I don't use. It's tucked away in a box. And I feel like letting some stuff go. So I'm kind of doing my spring clean midsummer. So going back to who is now Dusty the Fairy, she came out from this process. James, hang on a sec. So her name came out in the process, and she's now Dusty the Fairy, or Fairy Dusty. And her process came out of the writing, and so obviously I did quite a lot of writing underneath her as well, and that is part of the art journaling process. And I have to say, it's so therapeutic and can really move you forwards. Not only is the creativity itself beneficial, and I've got loads of videos on art journaling, so I'm not going to go into it too deep now, but it really does help shift things. And in this case, it's kind of physical stuff. And obviously, you know, when we change our physical space and we do sweep out those little dark, dirty corners, it really makes us feel different. It changes the energy and makes us feel different in the space, doesn't it? In a really uplifting, positive way. So I'm very grateful to our little Dusty Fairy. Yes.
One of the most common questions I get about art journaling is, you know, how do you start? How do you start a page? And I think where I start is with a thought. In this case, it was something that I wanted to change. Something I wanted to address and yes, take action on. But there are things to do before we actually do take action, aren't there? There's the kind of hesitation, procrastination kind of situation that we have. So I like to call this free writing with intention, if you like, because I have an intention of shifting something, but at the same time, I also want to allow myself the freedom to do a kind of stream of consciousness writing that has a focus, if that makes sense. And so that's what I do when I begin, because I think the layers underneath, even if they get covered up, This is the really important thing. And the really magical thing of working in layers as well is that you can cover things up. So another question I get asked all the time is, oh, I'm scared to write in my journal. What if it's something really, really private and personal? And so this is a way you can really cover it up, layer over it. You can collage, you can paint, you can build layer upon layer, or one full swoop of an opaque medium like acrylic paint, for example, or gouache. And then that will cover it up. It's hidden, it's private, only you know it was there. So I think sometimes we have thoughts that maybe we're ashamed of, or that we feel guilty about, or things that are hidden or deeply buried within that are painful. And I think sometimes this is really, really private and personal. And so we need to make our journals, above anything else, a really safe space. And so how you do that, whether you write in code or you cover your layers up or you stick pages together or however it is you manage that, that is a really important part of it. Because once you feel safe to express yourself in a really truthful and authentic way, that's when the magic happens. That's when we can let go and process properly. I like to mainly work without reference material for transformational journaling, so I never know who is going to appear on the page. I don't mind the quirky little faces that want to show up. They help to communicate the emotions I'm feeling, and often have helpful messages which unfold throughout the process. The actual rhythm of a creative task, such as drawing, writing, or painting, when done in a way that doesn't focus on outcomes and final results, actually has a powerful effect on our brains. During this process, we release neurotransmitters, such as serotonin. This really helps us make those mind shifts that we need to make in order to take any action steps we need for the changes we would like to make. I'll talk a little bit about wanting to change my diet and eating habits this way in a moment as well, because these shifts take a push and some work in a physical sense too. I always find that once my mindset has switched form, the action steps are the easy part. You'll have to let me know in the comments if that's true for you as well. It's always the bit before that seems to overwhelm me and then causes me to hesitate and procrastinate. And of course, these emerging butterflies which came out of this unplanned intuitive process represent transformation. So if we reflect carefully on our pages later, we can clearly see signs and symbols revealing the hidden underlying messages that are there. I spent so much time, many years in fact, during our van life days journaling and developing my process, and experienced some truly magical transformational experiences. We can hold these pages in our hand and it becomes a tangible physical thing in the form of these layers in our journal. Every month I post a new art journaling video and prompts in our lovely Patreon community, so feel free to check out the Pockets £5 tier for my catalogue of art journaling tutorials. I always leave my links in the description below.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in all conversations. Oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong. I was so mistaken, 'cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. I was never the one to give up the ghost. No, I was so stuck. I kept on playing my part, wanting to give up 'cause nothing was changing. But with you it's so clear, and now that you're here I see colors in every spectrum. Guess I finally learned my lesson. 'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever.
The other little dusty corner of my life as well, which I've also been addressing in my art journal and with journaling as well at the moment, has been to sweep out the dust in a small portion of my eating habits. So I just want to sweep out some of the bad things and put good things or better things in their place, if that makes sense. Because I am a real creature of habit, and so that can work both ways for me. So you'll have to let me know in the comments if you're the same or similar, because if I get into good habits, then I can get into my flow really easily. I've got a squeaky floor, sorry. I can get into my flow really easily, but by the same time, if I get into bad habits, then that can become ingrained really easily as well. So I have to be a bit careful, and I've noticed of late that I've been eating snacks. I go for snacks, quick snacks, crisps, salty, savoury snacks, over doing myself a nice meal. So also part of this dusty corners is also sweeping out those, the bad things that I shouldn't really be eating all the time. You can have them a little bit, so that's okay, but I had been getting into some bad habits, so I needed to address it, and this has really helped me do that as well. And I suppose at the time I was writing it, and this is the kind of magical process of journaling, if you haven't tried it, I thoroughly 110% recommend it. It will shift you in really surprising ways, and what you need to do is have a shift of mindset. So I think it helps writing it down. You can get all your fears and worries, any shame and guilt you might have, any areas you feel stuck or anything like that, you can let things go first in a really safe space. And then I often as well, create a small stepping stone plan, which I can write down in my journal as well if I want to, about taking small steps in the directions you want to go. So you don't have to take on, like for me for example, I didn't want to take on the whole room, but just taking on this, moving the big furniture and shuffling the the books and the bits and bobs around and getting them in situ, that's moved me in the right direction. And then the next time I can do another layer of it, which will be to start decluttering those boxes I was talking about. So it's just little bite-sized chunks that makes it manageable, because the reason why we don't do things, it's the in-the-moment pleasures, the things that feel right in the moment aren't necessarily best for our longer term, if you know what I mean. But we all obviously enjoy that short-term gratification, or the dopamine hit. I mean, this is why social media, for example, is so addicting. But at the same time, we need to adult ourselves, we need to parent ourselves as well. So I really use my journal for that as well. It's the most helpful tool I've got, and it stops it going whirling around in my head and creating that overwhelm, just stopping me doing it in the first place. So make a few steps, take this as a sign, a little gentle reminder, have a little ponder on what your dusty corners are, and then sweep a little bit out. You don't have to sweep the whole lot, just and let me know in the comments what you're going to do, and then that will be the first step. Yes. So I could talk to you all day, and I love talking to you, don't get me wrong, but I really need to get on as well. So come on, Wendy. So I'm trying to talk to you, but we've got some machinery going on outside, so it's impossible to kind of sit and have a proper chat. But suffice to say, thank you for keeping me company and watching the video. I really appreciate it. Try to keep your lights shining bright, and I will see you really, really soon in the next video. Bye for now.